Have you ever stopped to think about what happens when you flip a light switch? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the most incredible high-stakes ballets performed every single second of every day, keeping India's massive power grid from, well, collapsing.
Just imagine the entire country as one giant living thing with a single electric heartbeat. So what would happen if that heartbeat skipped, even for a fraction of a second? It would be chaos. You're talking about blackouts, system failures, a potential nationwide collapse. And preventing that is a round-the-clock, non-stop job.
And believe me, that is not an exaggeration. This is a constant, invisible dance that keeps our lights on, our hospitals running, and our whole digital world humming. So how on earth is this miracle of engineering even possible? It all starts with one fundamental and kind of tricky challenge.
So you might be asking, what makes this so incredibly difficult? Well, it all comes down to a basic truth about electricity that makes it totally different from almost any other resource we use.
Okay, so here is the absolute heart of the problem. Unlike water, right, which you can just store in a big tank for later, electricity has no warehouse. There's no stockpile. The very instant you flip on a switch, a power plant, maybe hundreds of kilometers away, has to generate that exact amount of power in that exact moment, instantly. This means the grid has to operate like a tightrope walker, constantly, perpetually balancing generation with consumption. There's just no room for error. One tiny misstep, one little wobble, and the whole system could be in serious trouble. So how do the grid operators even know if they're balanced on that tightrope? Well, they listen for a pulse, a single number that works as the grid's golden rhythm. And that number is 50 hertz. The entire national grid, I mean all of it, from Kashmir all the way down to Kanyakumari, is synchronized to hum at this exact frequency. It's like the metronome for the whole country's power supply. You see, this frequency is the key. It tells them everything. Think of it like a DJ controlling the music. If there's too much power being generated for the demand, the frequency starts to rise, the song speeds up. And if there isn't enough power to meet what everyone's using, the frequency drops, the song slows down. The whole game is to keep that tempo locked perfectly at 50 hertz. Now, keeping this rhythm absolutely perfect isn't magic. It takes a team of incredibly skilled conductors. So let's meet the people behind the curtain, the maestros of this power symphony. It's all about a precise chain of command. Right at the top, you have the National Load Dispatch Center, the NLDC. Think of them as the air traffic controller for the entire country's electricity. Then, reporting to them, you have the RLDCs and SLDCs, the regional and state-level conductors. They manage the flow of power across states and within states, making sure everybody is playing in perfect time. So what tools do these conductors actually use to tweak the grid's tempo in real time? Well, they have this whole collection of options, kind of like a Swiss Army knife that's designed for every possible power situation you can imagine. Each power source has a really specific job. When you need a quick burst of power, say right away, fast-responding hydro and gas plants can be fired up in seconds. It's just like turning on a faucet. And for renewables, like solar and wind that can go up and down, you have battery energy storage systems, or BESS. They're like a giant sponge, soaking up extra power and squeezing it back out when it's needed. And all of this is built on the rock-solid foundation of steady baseload power from sources like coal and nuclear. But one of the coolest and most important tools in this whole kit is pumped storage. You can literally think of it as a giant natural water battery. When there's extra power on the grid that nobody's using, it gets used to pump water from a low reservoir up a hill to a higher one. Then, when the grid needs power, that water is released, it flows back down through turbines and generates electricity. It's such a simple but brilliant way to store huge amounts of energy. And this isn't just some idea on a whiteboard. States like Odisha are really investing in these grid shock absorbers. Their new policy is paving the way for more and more of these projects, which is going to make the grid way more resilient, especially as we add more renewable energy into the mix. So, when you put it all together, you've got the instantaneous nature of electricity, the constant watch on the frequency, that strict hierarchy of control, and this diverse set of power tools,
what you get is a truly remarkable system.
It really is a symphony, a non-stop performance of human genius and machine precision, where every single piece, from the main control room in Delhi down to a single power plant in a remote corner of the country, has to play its part in perfect harmony.
So next time you flip a switch, just take a second and remember this. That simple action kicks off an entire chain of events, coordinated across the whole subcontinent. And it's only possible because of an army of unsung heroes sitting in control rooms, working 24/7 to keep our world powered up one balanced second at a time.
And that really makes you wonder, doesn't it? The power grid is just one of these huge, invisible systems that we depend on every single day. What other complex, incredible dances are being performed just out of our sight to make our modern lives possible?